Hello and welcome to the story so far, Shadowbringers. It should go without saying that this video contains spoilers for Final Fantasy XIV and the story that builds upon the previous expansions, as the previous videos of this series have already done. It is highly encouraged that you finish playing through Shadowbringers before watching this video, and I would really hate to ruin anything here for you. Now that being said, this video is to help remind you of the story before jumping into Endwalker and hopefully provide some level of entertainment for your day. From this point forward, a spoiler warning is in full effect. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button and sharing it out with others. Thank you so much, and let's begin. Eons ago, our world, the Source, was split into multiple dimensions known as shards, or reflections of one another. And over the last 12,000 years or so, these shards have developed independently of one another. This event was known as the Sundering, and it was the resulting battle between two great and eldest of primals, Zodiark and Hydaelyn. Since then, a group of powerful beings, known as the Ascians, have sought to revive Zodiark by rejoining those reflections back to the Source. And each time that they have been successful, an event known as a calamity has occurred, and it occurred on the Source. Shadowbringers begins in the first. 100 years after Minfilia, otherwise known as the Oracle of Light, halted the flood by sacrificing herself during the events of Heavensward. Since then, 9/10 of the first have been destroyed by the Flood of Light, and the remaining people struggle to survive in this harsh land. Monsters known as Sin Eaters seek to destroy what remains, and the rest of the world waits for the final days in which the world is fully consumed by light. To make matters worse, back on the Source, tensions are heating up between the Eorzean Alliance and the Garlean Empire, and one by one members of the Scions are sent into comas by a mysterious force known as the Crystal Exarch, who pulls their souls across to the First, but leaves their bodies intact on the Source in a coma. All in all, Alphinaud, Alizé, Thancred, Y'stola, and Urianger all cross over, leaving it up to the Warrior of Light to travel to the First and save the world and his friends, and to stop Emet-Selch, an unsundered Ascian hell-bent on rejoining the First to the Source, destroying everyone on the First, and bringing about another calamity on the Source. We are summoned to the First, a stranger in a strange land, where things are familiar, but at the same time we're also reacquainted with our lost friends. Time flows differently on the First than it does on the Source, so our friends who we've known on the Source have had their lives here on the First for years, and have changed as well. The realm is plagued with Sin Eaters, and the greatest of them are called Light Wardens. Each time a Light Warden is killed, the Aether consumes the person who killed it and turns them into the next Light Warden. We, however, with the blessing of Hydaelyn, are able to consume the Light Ether, and as a result, one by one, each area welcomes back the night sky, and we're given the title, the Warrior of Darkness. In response to the night sky returning, in Ulmor, the ruler Vothri sends his general Ranjit to find out who has been doing this, and we return to the Crystal Tower with Thancred and a young girl named Minfilia, who Thancred stole from Ranjit's custody. Now this Minfilia, however, is just the latest incarnation of the Scion Minfilia, long revered as the First, as the Oracle of Light. Eventually, the Scions decide that they need to commune with the original Minfilia, but this would mean that the current Minfilia would die. Now, rather than take over the incarnation's body, Minfilia decides to cease existing and gives the girl her power while telling her to be her own person. Thus, Reen is born, and she locates the remaining Light Wardens. Vothri himself is revealed to be a Light Warden, having had his father convinced by Emet-Selch to infuse a Light Warden into his unborn son. Vothri is ultimately hunted down and defeated, and by now the warrior is overloaded with light ether and begins to transform into a Light Warden himself. The Crystal Exarch at this time reveals himself to be none other than G'raha-Tia, who is a long-lost friend from our Crystal Tower adventures back in A Realm Reborn, and attempts to actually transfer the light unto himself, but is stopped by Emet-Selch. Reen hinders the Warrior of Light's transformation for now, but the endless light returns to Norvant, and we learn that G'raha-Tia came here from a future where the 8th Umbral Calamity actually occurred, and it caused by the First's destruction. Now, with this knowledge in hand, the Warrior of Light pursues Emet-Selch for one final battle, where Ardbert actually merges with us, the Warrior of Light, to stabilize our light ether, and Emet-Selch casts aside his title and battles us under his true name, Hades. Hades is defeated and asks only one thing: to be remembered by the Warrior of Light, who agrees to this request. Meanwhile, back on the source, Estinian and Gaius hunt down Black Rose, an etheric poison developed by the Guardian Empire used to stop the movement of aether in the body, thus killing anyone who comes in contact with it. And they're actually beaten to it by a newly resurrected Xenos, who murders his father Varus to prevent him from interfering further into his rematch with the Warrior of Light. As the Warrior of Light tries to find a way to return his friends the Scions back to the source, Elidibus, the white-robed Ascian and final remaining unsundered one, arrives on the First to start to awaken the Echo into the people on the Firsts as a fragment of their original self's power, now rather than a gift of Hydaelyn. Turns out that the legend of the Warrior Light that Elidibus actually created and used it to further increase his power through the faith of the people. Elidibus, with his plans in place, attacks the Warrior Light along with Grahatia, and together Grahatia and the Warrior Light defeat him and seal his essence in the Crystal Tower. But in the process, Grahatia fully crystallizes, and so they decide to infuse his memories into the one of the aura sites that is used to return their bodies to the source. So all is not lost. The Warrior Light is actually able to then infuse Grahatia into his past self, and with his memories, he fully joins as a member of the Scion. With the unsundered Ascians all defeated, a new face enters the frame with an Ascian Fandaniel, who teams up with Xenos. Moving their plan in place, they temper the country of Garlemald onto itself, acting itself like a primal, and thus they build towers to enslave any who draw near. The Warrior Light answers the call to help beat back the forces while Xenos prepares for his reunion with the Warrior Light, thus looking to the moon, foreshadowing an upcoming conflict with Zodiark himself. And here's where we stand as we get ready to enter into Endwalker. Hopefully this video was a good summary, bringing you back some memories of what you can look forward to as we get ready to enter into the latest expansion of Final Fantasy XIV. There's a lot that this obviously didn't cover. There's a lot of character development between each of the Scions, the Warrior Light, and honestly I think some of the best villains written in a long time, especially when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV. All in all, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed here to Work the Game. We would appreciate it, especially if you come back and check out our discussion videos. And I hope that you guys have an incredible week with the latest expansion. For Work the Game, my name is Brian. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being awesome. Hopefully we'll see you in our next video. But until then, take care.